All right, hello, friends, and welcome to Shutty Uppy, Let's Talk King and Queens podcast. My name is Steve Lott, and we have an excellent show for you today. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Dusty Salisbury, famous for his hilarious King and Queens TikTok reenactments with his lovely wife. Dusty, how are you today, bud?
What is up, you demented old circus monkeys? How you guys doing tonight?
You know we're all doing well here. So before we get to our guest, I just want to read a rating and review we got on the podcast. It was on Apple Podcasts. It was from Real. I don't know how to. I think it's Real UNCD, and he says or she says. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. Perfect, guys. Love the podcast. You're doing my favorite show a beautiful credit. Love King of Queens. So that was pretty short and sweet, and we do appreciate it, Real UNCD.
I wonder if the UNC stands for UNC.
Unc, like Uncle D. That's what I was thinking too. You know, so. But I don't want to get it wrong. You know. So yeah, if you guys rate and review the show, and they gave us 5 stars out of 5, so that's cool. If you want to rate and review the show, just go on Apple Podcasts and do so. Or if you want to send us a quick note, you want to send us a message on Facebook, or if you want to send me an email, kingofqueenspodcast@gmail.com. Just hit us up. We love reading the reviews, even if you got a bad one, and so let us know. All right, so today we have a very special guest for you. Tyler Hendrickson, better known to our listeners as Young Doug, was born and raised in Long Beach, California. After a brief but enjoyable acting career, Tyler turned his attention to his education, receiving his master's degree in sports management from Long Beach State University in 2013. He worked in the sports journalism and athletic communications for the last decade or so, and is currently the associate editor and development director at a nonprofit news outlet in Long Beach, focusing primarily on local sports coverage. So, Tyler, nice. Welcome to the show, bud. Thank you very much for coming on.
Hey, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you.
Yeah, that bio was great. I just said, hey, can you send me a quick bio? And you pretty much wrote all that, and I do appreciate that. So it sounds like you've been a pretty busy person.
Yeah, people always ask me, are you going to get back into acting, or why'd you give it up? But life kind of comes at you fast. I was in school at the time, and just kind of growing up and getting into sports. I've loved sports really my whole life. It's kind of one of my main passions. So it's a hard business to work in, but I've really enjoyed having the opportunity to do that and stay in my hometown. So a lot of things going on, a lot of different side hustles and things, which you kind of need to do nowadays, unfortunately. But yeah, it's it's been a lot of fun, and it's been cool to kind of think back on my childhood, which is crazy to think that it's 20 years ago that I was on the show, but yeah, pretty cool stuff. So I'm excited to kind of talk about it and go down memory lane. And I know a lot of the listeners are eager to get some of their questions in. So.
Oh yeah. We're me and Dusty, and actually you are a part of a big fan group, Facebook, or King of Queens Facebook fan group. And ever since you joined the fan group, fans have wanted to hear you on the show. So we're real excited to have you, man. So I know you kind of know the format of the show. We're going to go over some trivia about this specific episode, and then we're going to kind of diverge a little bit from our normal format, and we're going to actually ask you some questions from the fans and get a little bit into your career and things like that. So our trivia is going to be a little... Seat. Yeah, we'll put you on the hot seat. Well, first we'll put you on the trivia hot seat, and then we're going to put you on your hot seat. Okay. We'll go over some quotes and ponderings from the show, and then rate and review the episode. So you ready to do this or what?
Yeah, let's dive in. I'm really excited. This is my favorite King of Queens episode. So
awesome.
I just so happen to be on it. I might be biased, but I genuinely love this episode. So.
That's great. I love it. All right. So with that, we're going to go ahead and start the festivities here. We're going to talk about Season 4, Episode 25, entitled Shrink Wrap. It was written by Michael J. Whitehorn, one of the creators, and directed by Rob Schiller. It originally aired on May 20th, 2002. So, like you said, almost 20 years ago.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Episode synopsis. Carrie's and Arthur's constant fighting is starting to frustrate Doug. So Arthur is taken to a therapist to discuss why he has to yell and act up all the time. And I'm telling you, before we, I usually save my ratings and reviews, but this is one of my favorite episodes as well, Tyler. So I can't wait to get into it. All right, trivia questions here, starting with question number 1. Where's the beauty school that Arthur wants to go to in order to get his hair tinted?
What borough? I'm pretty sure it's in Brooklyn. I'm pretty sure
it's in Brooklyn. Absolutely correct. Right. Here we go. One for one.
Nice, man.
1 for 1. Yeah, Arthur's. That's how we pretty much start the show, and Arthur wants to dye his hair. And Carrie's wants no part of it, and then she eventually offers him money to take a cab because she doesn't feel like going to Brooklyn from Queens. So Arthur ends up dyeing his hair by himself. What color does he end up dyeing his hair?
He goes black when he dyes it, but I think as a bonus, it was summer auburn. The store was out of it or something. It's not the color he wanted, but it's the one he ended up with. So it was jet black.
You are
good.
You are correct. You are correct. You got a good memory here, bud. Oh, you're doing excellent.
Yeah.
You're doing excellent. All right. How did Doug and Carrie get Arthur to go to the therapist? What did they promise him?
Oh, that's a good question. They promised him a steak dinner.
Steak dinner.
Boom.
Here we go, man.
Right. Nice.
On
a roll.
I should have made these harder, but when it's one of your favorite episodes, Tyler, it makes all the questions easy.
Exactly.
We'll see what happens here. All right. So Arthur's at the therapist and he's talking. What was Arthur's most frequent childhood fear?
Was it not being heard? Is that the
pretty much? That's pretty much what the doctor.
Yeah.
What the doctor says. He was afraid of losing his voice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll give that to you.
Yeah,
that's
partial
really,
credit.
That's
okay.
Yeah, partial credit for that one. But you got the summer autumn bonus question, so that kind of balances that out there. Did you have any childhood fears growing up? Either one of you guys, Dusty or Tyler?
Oh man,
maybe that's getting a little too personal.
No, I'm trying to think because I'm not scared of heights or anything, and I have jumped out of a plane. So
okay, cool.
I don't know. I guess I don't remember. Not that I don't have fears or whatever, but I don't remember being afraid of like spiders or I don't like rats and mice. Rats and mice. Huge in New York City, obviously, and I definitely saw them. But like, I don't like being crawled on. I think that's kind of a fear.
Oh, okay.
Things crawling on you. Yeah. It's not for me.
Yeah, that's pretty gross. So yeah, I could see that. Dusty, what about you, man?
I mean, mine has always been spiders, but when I was a kid, I remember watching the movie Tremors, and I love Tremors. Tremors is like one of my favorite film series, even if they keep getting cornier. But I remember when I was a kid, after I watched the movie Tremors for like a good bit, I would be afraid to walk on the ground. Like I would tiptoe out in the yard.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know.
Wow, you were afraid of those things?
When I watched it, so.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, I mean, I remember one time my babysitter, I think I was 6 years old, 6 or 7, but she made us watch Chucky, Child's Play.
Oh, she made you watch Chucky?
That scared the living crap out of me. Yeah. Scared the I slept with my head under my pillow until I was like 10, 11 years old. Swear to God.
For years, not just...
Yeah, and now,
crazy,
if I
man.
see, like, freaky-looking little dolls, like, I have to turn them around or put them somewhere else.
That's funny, man. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big horror movie guy. Snakes and stuff. I'm not, just keep me away from that kind of stuff. So, all right, cool. That's good to know. Good to know, Dusty. All right. So now Arthur goes back into his childhood with the doctor, with the therapist, and which is a great scene, by the way, with Ben Stiller as his father. What was the happiest moment of Arthur's life? And he says, not just, he says, oh, up to this point? He goes, no, this is my happiest moment of my whole life.
Right, and a great look, if I recall, from William Hurt, just like, ooh, that's tough. It was getting the X-ray glasses.
Getting the X-ray glasses, absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Yep. Bonus question: what ends up happening to those glasses, Tyler?
Oh, they're unfortunately confiscated and given to his brother Skitch, which is really, really disappointing.
Yep.
Now I can't remember.
There was a lot of actors in that scene.
I was gonna say I can't remember the little Arthur's name, but he was on Malcolm in the Middle.
Right.
Yes.
Ben Stiller was in that scene. William
kid.
Hurt was in that scene.
And then the other child actor was in, I don't know his name either, but he was in Cheaper by the Dozen, I believe, as well.
Yes.
In that movie.
Oh,
so
okay. Yeah, you're right.
Other stuff. He's been in some other stuff as well, but I wasn't on set when that scene was shot. It was on a different day, so I wasn't there for that and didn't meet Ben Stiller and everything. But,
you didn't meet Ben? That was going to be one of my questions, yeah.
Oh, okay. But that scene is so funny because of the dynamic of Ben Stiller playing his father's father within the context of the show. And the one of the lines in there that's so funny to me is when Ben Stiller is talking to his dad and says, "You want to join yourself in that room?" And it cracks me up.
That was a classic.
The way they navigated the flashback of interacting and just not taking it too seriously, I thought was really funny.
Oh, it was so funny, like interacting with, I don't even know what you call that, breaking the eighth wall or something. It was like it was so cool the way they did that with all the flashbacks.
Yes.
Yeah, to hell with the space-time continuum for sure.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool, man. So getting X-ray glasses, that was the happiest moment of Arthur's life, and apparently his whole life. So,
despite having children.
Despite having children,
right.
Yep, absolutely. Well, depends on when you watch the show, how many children he has, right?
Sure.
Because the sister was in the first season, and then that was it. So basically, the therapist tells Doug and Carrie that he needs to be validated, that Arthur needs to be validated. So what was Arthur doing when they got home? He was in the kitchen. What was he home doing? Oh,
he was in the kitchen making candles.
making candles. Which, like, I don't even know. Like, he had a smock on. He was, like, dripping with wax and everything. That was so funny. And then they go into that montage of everything he ends up doing, which bonus points if you could tell me any of them, because I'm trying to think of them right now. I know one was getting a parrot named Douglas.
Yeah. Right. And then he started a band. He did a bluegrass band. He had the banjo.
Yep.
Why did that band break up, or why did they stop playing? That I remember.
Oh yeah, Mickey chipped a tooth, right?
Mickey chipped a tooth on the jug.
The jug, yeah.
It's so funny, man. It's so funny. He got two parrots. One crashed into the. Oh yeah, he had a sleepover. That's right. I'm trying to think of the other things. I don't remember the other things. But yeah, that whole scene, the whole montage was hilarious. It was hilarious. What Dusty, what are some of the things you think Arthur should have done to get validated besides all the things he did? What I can only imagine what was proposed in the writers' meeting.
Oh man. Well, I mean, there was a lot of later in the seasons, he got braces. Could have got that earlier in the scenes. Went to college. What was it, Texas University, or what was the party school that he wanted to go to? Can't remember.
Oh yeah.
But man, I don't know. There was a lot of things that Arthur wanted in this series.
Oh my God,
That's
he's
a
constantly.
good
He's constantly
question.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great question.
What do you think, Tyler? What do you think? Some other things Arthur could have asked for that they probably would have given him.
I think hot tub in the basement would have been funny. You know, if you could have just like a little, probably a horrible idea, but you know, be good for his back or something. You know.
Yeah.
That you know what? That would have been great, and the mold episode would have made a lot more sense later on.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go. I love it. I love it when things come together like that.
Yes.
All right, we only got a couple more questions. What happens to Carrie when Arthur stops fighting and screaming all the time?
She hates it. She's unhappy.
Yeah, she's
She
miserable.
wants to fight. Yeah.
Yeah, and that leads us to the scene with little Carrie, and she's at the birthday party and ends up, you know, there's a bee around with her best friend, and her and little Carrie are laughing their asses off. That again, another great scene. Another great, you know, breaking the barriers and the space-time continuum. The doctor, the therapist eating the cake, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
You know that cake's
Such a
20
great
years
line.
old, right?
Such a great line. I'm not really a cake guy. You know, I'm not really a cake guy. This is good. Those little lines. It was just such a well-written episode. I love it.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
What happens when Doug goes to the therapist?
So he gets a little aggravated that that the problem isn't getting fixed, and then there's a little bit of conflict, and then that leads right into the flashback, and then my ugly mug.
That's where we meet little Doug. That's where we meet little Doug for the first time, right? I love it.
The first time in the episode, yeah. First time
in the
this
episode,
yeah.
Yep. And he ends up fighting. He ends up fighting little Doug, which we have a lot of questions about. By the way, we'll save that for the next section. But
for sure.
Yeah.
I just want to say you played that scene really, really well. I mean, you
Oh my God.
Appreciate it.
portrayed Doug so well in that. I don't want any trouble. That part cracked me up because I was like, oh my God, that's Doug Heffernan, like right there. I mean, you portrayed him so well in that scene. I mean,
Oh my
every
God,
scene
it
that you
was great.
played, you portrayed him really well because I mean, it was spot on Doug Heffernan. I mean, you were
Thank
perfect
you.
for that part.
Well, it helped watching the show and kind of picking up, you know, his mannerisms and stuff. And I also, for that line in particular, I kind of, thinking back on it, I kind of remember it's like that was probably something he said all the time, and that it was almost scripted, sort of. Like I could see his parents telling him, you know, like, all right, Dougie, when you go to school, if any bullies, just say you don't want any trouble. You know, and so that was what I was picturing, a mom telling me to say it and then me repeating it like a scripted line. I don't want any trouble. So that was kind of the thought behind that line for sure.
That's awesome. You know, it's funny because obviously Doug was like a bigger kid and a bigger guy. And the other kid who was picking on him in the scene, you know, picking on little Doug, was obviously, you know, he was smaller than him. And you know, Kevin James kept saying to you, you know, just punch him in the face, just fight him, push back, this and that, you know. I can relate to that. I was always a big kid growing up. I always, you know, if anyone, I mean, listen, I had to stand up for myself or my brothers and sister, but most of the time I just didn't want any trouble because, you know, I ended up ending the fight. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But then I would be the one to get in trouble. So I was like, you know, it's like a double-edged sword here. It's like I could easily take this kid out, but then I'm the one who's going to be in trouble. So I could definitely relate to that whole scene, which really made it even better for me.
And fun fact, that kid, that the name of the actor that was the kid that was teasing me is also Tyler. So that was kind of fun.
Oh, nice. Oh, okay, cool.
Just a lucky coincidence, but no, I agree. I hear what you're saying though. I I would always fight back with comedy. I would just make jokes about the situation. That was usually my defense mechanism. I wasn't much of a fighter. I was a jokester for sure.
Oh, okay. Nice. Awesome, man. Yeah, that's a good way, man. Get them laughing, and you probably ended up with friends with them and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
So. All right, I got one more trivia question, and it's when Little Doug and Kevin, and Big Doug are sitting on the therapist's couch at the end. Another great scene. Why has food become an important factor in Doug's life?
Oh, it doesn't call you names or say you're stupid. It's always good.
You nailed it. You nailed it word for word, man. That was awesome. I'm glad I asked that because I didn't know where that was going to go, but you were all over that one.
And it's true. It's true. It's a comfort, comfort food's a thing for a reason, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
That's right.
Oh, that's great. Well, you nailed the trivia.
I swear, you did good on that.
I had to come. I didn't want to come in and embarrass myself, so I'm glad. I'm glad I handled the trivia.
Yeah. You handled the trivia very well, my friend. Dusty, what were you going to say, bud?
I was going to say, me and my son are going to do a reenactment of that scene on the couch.
Oh, that's great.
TikTok reenactment. And this is his one time that he gets to say ass. So, I'll allow it one time just for the show.
That's funny, man. That's funny. Yeah, didn't Little Doug call Big Doug lard ass or something? And yeah. Oh my God.
I can't tell you how excited 11-year-old me was to read that in the script. It's like, I get to say ass on national television. This is awesome.
That was awesome, man. That was awesome. That's great. Oh man. All right, so we have some questions from the fans, and if you're up for it, man, we'd love to get into it with you.
Yeah, fire away. Let's get them.
All right, so Erin, I think I'm saying her name right. Erin Meager. What do you think, Dusty? Is that sounds right?
I think it's Meager. Yeah.
Yeah, Erin Meager. She posts a lot in this group, and she's funny as hell. So she has a bunch.
She's hilarious.
She wants to know, what was the audition process like? Did you walk into a room with 50 young Doug clones? How did you get the part, and how many rounds of auditions? So a multi-part question there.
Yeah, it's a great question. So there were 2 rounds of auditions. So there was the original kind of call, which I have honestly really no memory of, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Mostly because the second one was pretty overwhelming and kind of replaced the memory in my head, I think. So I got the callback, which I was really excited about. And it was on set. So it was on the studio, lot, which is pretty intimidating. I was in 5th grade. So I'm like,
wow.
Looking around in these buildings and thinking, am I going to run into a celebrity or, whatever it's going to be. And I was a young, confident kid. I think most child actors have a certain confidence about them, but right. I go into the room and it's very set up. It's much more staged than most auditions were. So this is it. This is the callback. They're making sure. So they've got the lights, they've got cameras set up, and I walk in the room and the first face that I see in the middle of the room is Kevin James. So I'm immediately, like, okay, like, this is it, So
yeah.
I walk in, and I'm obviously, the adrenaline's pumping, and it's kind of a 2-parter. The audition was like kind of 2 lines that they had for me. So I do the first part, I get a great laugh, everything goes great, and they're like, "Hey, thank you so much. It was great to meet you." And so I was like, "Okay, thanks." And then I leave, and I'm walking down the hall, walking/floating. And so I'm going down the hall, like, kind of fired up. And then I get to the end of the hallway, and they're like, "Oh, wait, come back. We didn't finish. We forgot to finish." So then they come back, and I have to go back in and then do the second part of the audition, which obviously I released, where I was like, okay, I did it. I'm out. It's over. And then I had to get right back into it. So that was a little terrifying. But I think in retrospect, it was a good sign that they liked they liked it so much initially, they kind of forgot that there was more to the scene that I was
great.
doing. So that ended up being a good thing. And then, went back in. Second part went great. I left. Went back to my parents, and I was like, I think it went great. Doug was in there. It was so cool. But that was really one of the first kind of big auditions for me. So that was I hadn't really had any experience with anything like that before, so it was pretty overwhelming. I didn't really see any other of my competition that I can remember. It wasn't like a cattle call, but I'd been on some of those for sure, where you see a lot of kids that look like you, where you're like, okay, they have a type. But no, it was a really great experience, and everyone was super friendly and welcoming, and yeah, fortunately I got chosen.
That's awesome, man. That's
awesome.
That's a great story, man, because that's really got to be a confidence booster, right? To go in and kind of know you nailed it, and so did they let you know right away that you got the part, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think you just wait for a call from your agent, so they reach out to your management, and it usually takes a little while for them to review it. They probably want, if not everyone's there, they have to look at the footage and make sure I look good on screen or whatever. But I think it was the next week probably, and we got the call from the manager, and it's just those tense moments where you're like, is this a happy call? Or I was the kid that got the happy call. So that was great.
That's awesome, man.
That's awesome.
No, congratulations, man. That's great. I'm saying congratulations 20 years later. So
right. Well, so belated, but
yeah, belated.
Yeah.
You mentioned before, so you had been you watched the show. Like, had you been watching the show regularly, or was you just watched it to prepare?
So yeah, I had watched it when it was on. I wasn't a religious watcher necessarily, but I also feel like as a 10-year-old, I wasn't the target demo per se, but
right.
I definitely would watch the show when it was on. So I was familiar with the characters and the general concept. And then obviously once I knew I was auditioning, it was like, okay, let me watch a little bit more, get a better understanding of the show. And then obviously once I was on it, it was, I remember it being on Mondays. So it was like every Monday night, of course, we're watching King of Queens. So, yeah.
That's awesome, man. Another question from Aaron. Can you describe the fight scene with Kevin James, the choreography, the breakaway furniture, stuff like that?
Yeah, there's a lot within that. So what a cool opportunity to get to do stunts. And there actually was a stunt director on set. I forget his name. I just remember he was from Louisiana, and he was just a cool dude. But yeah, they teach you where to hit someone and how, because I hit him with the chair. And so and that chair, you can probably tell that it's lighter, it's the Hollywood magic. They use balsa wood, and then it's scored as well. So they kind of cut on an angle to score it so that everything will break and shatter. Otherwise it would hurt more. It doesn't look as dramatic. But I was a little nervous because I'm still swinging an object at the star of the show, And so I'm like, if I give him a concussion, they're not going to have me back. So I had to be very careful, and it was practicing like, okay, line it up on his back. This is where you want to hit him. You want to make sure it's not too high, but you want to hit the pad. He was wearing a pad on his back to protect him. So another funny moment just on set, like in between takes, we're all just kind of standing around waiting for, restock the cameras, whatever they were doing, check the lighting. All of a sudden there's a huge crash, and everyone's kind of looking around, and then eventually they see Academy Award winning actor William Hurt in the corner of the classroom in a pile because he had unwittingly sat on the fake chair that was going to be used.
You heard it here first, folks. That is a holy
That's
crap.
Awesome.
So
He went to sit down and it just
because it's scored. It's not meant to hold weight, and
wow.
So I don't know if that's past the statute of limitations or if there's a pending workers' comp thing, but apologies to my union rep if I overstepped. But yeah, it was really funny, and everyone was absolutely mortified because that's a big get for the show to have.
Yeah, right.
William Hurt's a guy. That's a name. and
Yeah.
he's over here, sprawled on the floor.
Oh, man.
And everyone's like, "Are you okay? Oh my God!" And he's embarrassed, but he was fine, fortunately. But what a hilarious moment there with the with the props and the fighting aspect of it. The other thing too about that scene in particular is the glass shoving Doug through the window, which is really cool to do that. But also they told us that they only had 3 windows.
Oh no.
So they had this like sugar glass or whatever it is that, shatters and it isn't super dangerous. So you can't really mess up if there's only, you know what I mean? So
no pressure.
Right. That's like, we can only do 3 takes, so don't screw it up. And then you'll also, if you watch back the scene, you'll notice that when I push him, I'm kind of blocking the window. So I needed to shove him in the right direction and give him a good shove so he can lift himself out of the window. But then I also need to kind of veer out of the way to open up so you can see him go through. So if you rewatch it, you'll see me kind of take a hard left turn. So there were some moving parts. So I feel like I did have more kind of choreography than you might imagine watching it. And then, the pressure of, hitting the star of the show, working with an Academy Award winner, and not screwing up the glass because there's only 3. There's, in retrospect, there was some pressure, but I just remember it being a lot of fun.
Well, and by the way, you're 11 years old. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot for a kid,
Yeah,
that's great. You pulled it off. You pulled it off. It still holds up to this day, in my opinion.
I'm glad that wasn't my first episode. I'll say that. I'm glad I'd already been on set and kind of felt a little comfortable. Kind of part of the cast a little bit. So that took the pressure off for sure.
That's great.
How many times did you get to hit Kevin James with a chair?
It might have just been once or twice. I don't think we did that specific part too much. Kind of got it and it looked good.
Right.
But thinking back on it, that's kind of a cool thing to do, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I get to bash a chair over someone. So I tried to enjoy it just a little bit, and I knew it wouldn't hurt, so I figured it was okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Aaron also asks, what was Jerry Stiller like? Did Jerry yell at you at all?
No. Jerry, and I tell everybody this when they ask, because a lot of people ask about that, because he's such a character and such a, his classic actor and talented guy. Jerry was the hardest working guy on set. I never remember seeing him without a script in his hand, and he was just always working, and he was such a professional, just all the time, just working, and you could tell he was trying different things, and was really inspirational because it's like, here's a guy that's done so much in his career already. He's proven himself, but he was just really dedicated to what he was doing. And he was really kind to me. I have a script that he signed for me, along with the rest of the cast, that's super valuable to me, especially,
Absolutely.
It's put into perspective since his passing, obviously. But just a sweet guy. He was always friendly to my parents on set, and just just couldn't say more nice things about him. Really just total consummate professional.
And it seems to be the the running theme. Obviously he was a great guy and all, and we actually had Alex Scooby on a couple months ago, and he said the same thing. He was a character, but he was just a great person. And that's great to hear, man. That's great to hear. You were lucky to have met him. In
Absolutely.
And that's awesome. So we kind of going along with the theme of the set. What was the atmosphere like on set? This is from Erin Patricia Lee.
So, the atmosphere was fun. For me, that episode in particular, I had a lot of other kids to hang out with. So
okay,
I have to do class when I go. So they filmed, and I was in school. So they had a tutor there. And so I had to sit in a green room and work. So I had to bring homework with me and, do class assignments on set. So some of the time I was there was, boring because it was just like school. It was just no classmates. So when there were episodes with other kids, that was nice to have someone to talk to and
cool.
spend some time with. Because a lot of times I was the only kid in the episode. But I did get to go to one live taping. Because usually my stuff was shot ahead of time, and then everything else was in front of a studio audience, and that was so much fun being there with the studio audience. That was a great time, and seeing it, getting to see during the week. Because usually the days I was there, everyone was kind of working on blocking, and you saw the body doubles on set, just kind of getting the lighting and all the getting the tape down on the floor for all the blocking movements and stuff. So I was getting to see so much behind the scenes stuff, which was super fascinating to me at that age, because you don't know, you just watch TV and you see stuff, and I'm getting this behind the scenes look at how Hollywood actually works. But I loved the craft service area. That was awesome, that I could just get food anytime. Amazing.
That's awesome.
That was heavenly. And then everyone on the crew was super nice and friendly and welcoming, and remembered my name, which I appreciated, because I'm just some kid, I'm only here just checking in for a couple days, but no, everyone, you can see why the show was on for as long as it was, just because there was good chemistry and teamwork, and they treated the bit actors like myself as if we were just a regular part of the cast.
No, that's great to hear, man.
That's awesome.
Obviously I'm not in the industry and not don't have the inside info, but you hear a lot of stories about sets being not so friendly. So that's great that it's a comedy show. It sounded like it was great to just work there. So that's awesome. Another question from Aaron. Aaron's got a bunch here. What does the S stand for in your Facebook profile?
Okay, so this is a very common question for me in my personal life. It actually doesn't stand for anything.
Okay.
It was a last minute idea that my dad had, that he just added an S to the front of my name. It doesn't have a period after it. It's not short for anything. It's sort of an homage.
Is your actual name S. Tyler Richardson or Hendrickson?
Yes, legally.
Oh, really? Oh,
so
okay.
I go by Tyler, but it makes paperwork kind of a hassle sometimes. But
yeah.
But no, legally, there is an S on there. So it's very strange. No one in the world has my name. So it's weird, but I kind of just embraced it at this point. It's kind of sets me apart.
Okay.
It's that's awesome. I wish wish I had a better answer, but the way I see it, I can kind of, it's like being a switch hitter, which is ironic with the S, but I can just make anything stand. I can make it stand for anything. Make it stand for super. Make it stand for smart. Whatever I want.
There you go, man. There you go.
Sir Tyler.
Sir. That's another great one.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir Tyler Hendrickson.
I thought you got
right.
Yeah.
That's great.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's one here.
I think I know what you're getting ready to ask too.
Yeah.
You almost have to ask it now. You can't set it up like that and not ask it.
It's so awkward, though. It's so.
Yeah, it is.
All right. This person writes.
This
person writes. Yeah, you ask it.
All right. Pauline wanted to know if you ever hooked up with young Carrie.
No.
So stupid. They're freaking 11 years old. Man.
When I saw that,
don't even remember her name.
I just started.
Don't even remember her name.
Don't remember her name. I think she was nice though when we were in class, but I don't know.
Well, hey, she played Carrie pretty well too.
Yeah, she did.
For sure. Did not maintain contact though, but I hope she's doing well.
Yeah.
There we go. Good answer.
That was just a random question.
Yeah, it's so.
Hey, inquiring minds, inquiring minds want to know.
Sorry, Pauline. I don't know. And then lastly, Giselle Sylvia. It's more of a. What was your favorite line? Because she has a favorite line of yours, and not just of this episode, of all the episodes that you've done.
Oh man, that's a great question. I mean, yeah, that's there are some favorite lines in the episode that aren't by me that I really like.
Yeah.
But I would say, I mean, it's hard not to pick "Get Off Me, Lard Ass." You know, I just being able to cuss.
Yes.
And
that was great.
That was one of my, few scenes with Kevin. So that's pretty cool. And it's very memorable. But obviously, eat a pellet, make a pellet is my.
There you go. That's what Giselle was wanting you to say.
That's so I think if I were thinking of myself as like a musical act or an artist or whatever, you know what I mean? I might have the one that's like the song I like the most, but you gotta play "Eat a Pellet, Make Up." That's the encore. You know what I mean? You gotta play the hits. You gotta play the hits. The people don't. The people come. They don't come for the lard ass. They come for the pellets. So.
They come for eat a pellet, make a pellet. Yeah. Yep, you just made so many people so happy right now.
Yes,
I'm telling you right now.
I'll add to that.
Line.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tyler.
No, I'll let you get back to it. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'll just add to that quickly. On the eat a pellet, make a pellet thing. Rob Schiller, who's the director of this episode, he referred to me, and he wrote it on the script. He referred to me as the Prince of Queens because of that line. He was like, that was like an iconic moment in the show.
That's
awesome. So Rob was a great guy to work with too. But anyway, that was
awesome.
Yeah, that was a big. I guess he
the
really liked
funny.
that, and I didn't realize how popular that scene was. I thought it was kind of goofy, but. People really love it. So
it's very popular. Oh yeah.
When you first joined the group, that's all you saw was eat a pellet, make a pellet, and all that.
Yeah.
People went nuts when you joined the group. By the way,
Yeah.
that's a question I had for you. How did you come across the Facebook group? It's not and I always say this. Me and Dusty did not start the group. We're just part of the group. It's like it's like almost 35,000 people or something like that in the group, but. It's amazing how many people are on it, and it just keeps growing. Right. And I remember a couple months back when you joined, people were going crazy, man. They loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember. It was very casual. It wasn't like I searched it and I was like, oh, I really want to get into a King of Queens group. I feel like maybe it just showed up as a suggested group because of whether other interests that I'd had or that I'd posted about it in the past. And so I was just like, oh, okay, like, yeah, King of Queens stuff, that'd be cool, I just joined. I wasn't even thinking about it, and then someone found me on Instagram and was like, hey, like there's this group or whatever, and people really like you. And I was like, oh, okay, like I just joined one. I don't know if it's the same one or whatever. And then they were like, well, do I have your permission to kind of post you and let people know? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess that's fine. And I was kind of overwhelmed. I wasn't expecting so many people to have comments or welcome me, and it was really nice of everyone. I appreciate that. I was definitely surprised and overwhelmed.
Yeah. Props to the people. Yeah,
I'll get occasional stuff on social media. I don't know, people either a Google search or whatever. So it's kind of funny to get those random check-ins where people will just say, "Hey, you were great on the show," or they'll quote the show to me, and then I'll just be like, appreciate the support. Yeah.
That's great, man. That's great.
Hey, I'll tell you one of my favorite lines that you ever said on the show was when the Mental Man or Mentalo episode where you were asking Mentalo if you were gonna catch any fish at the creek. And then you said hot dog and ran out of the room with your fishing pole. That was one of my favorite lines in that series from you. I loved that line. Hot dog.
Hot dog.
Loved it.
Do you guys say crick in the South, Dusty? Is that how you say crick?
Yeah.
Creek?
Hell no. Ain't that country over here. I live in North Carolina, so it ain't that country over here.
But there are parts in the South that definitely say crick for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely. That's pretty much the questions from the fans that we had. How do you feel? I mean, we took you through the gauntlet, man.
This was too hard. This was great. No,
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't get me too bad at all.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to share that we obviously that William Hurt story was a gem.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. One that I definitely remember. just knowing how terrified everyone on the crew was that, they were they had just injured this actor. They probably felt like they didn't deserve to have him, or he's too highbrow for the show. But no, everything ended up working out. Man, I don't know. It's a lot of obviously a lot of really cool and great memories and things to look back on. And I've got like my little souvenirs and stuff. Unfortunately, I did not get to keep the Wonder Woman suit / Uncle Sam.
I was gonna ask that, man.
Oh, somebody asked that question
That's
too,
funny.
and I didn't put it on here.
But they did custom fit that to me. So they made that for me specifically. So I was in wardrobe, they're doing measurements, and so they actually made that for me to wear. So they were like, "Are you okay with this? Do you have a problem with wearing this?" Because they were like, some kids, sometimes don't want to wear stuff that's like feminine or whatever. And I was like, "Yeah, I don't have a problem. I'm being paid to be here. What do I care?"
Yeah, that's right.
If it's funny,
how professional.
I'll do it. Like, who cares? Like, it's But that was cool. And then while I was in wardrobe, I was like, "Hey, can I they have like the stack of the IPS hats, just like lined up." And I was just like, "Hey, would it be possible if instead of having 6 of those in here, you had 5? Like, could I just have one?" And then they're like, "Oh, let me ask and make sure." And then ultimately they did let me take one, which was really
Oh,
cool.
that's all. Do you still have it?
I still have it. That's a prized keepsake
great.
for sure.
That is great, man.
That is awesome.
I know you can buy some, but to have one from the set, man, that's like, that's like a dream right there for a big King of Queens fan.
Right.
Awesome,
so I apologize if I'm kind of stunting on everybody with that one, but I do value it very much. So I'm sorry if it's a humble brag.
As you should.
Right.
As you should.
Yeah, man.
That's a humble brag right there, bro.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so we're going to get back to quotes and ponderings real quick. I thought, personally, the two-way mirror bit was hilarious when Arthur's yelling into the mirror while he's in the therapist's office. And the therapist, William Hurt, saying, "Yeah, that's just a regular mirror, and the waiting room is the other way." We already talked about Ben Stiller as Arthur's father. That was classic. And then obviously the fight that you and Kevin James had was I think it goes down as one of the all-time scenes in the show. It's got to be.
Yes.
What about you guys, Tyler? What was one of your favorite scenes or favorite parts of this episode, or a favorite quote?
Yeah, I think it's a really subtle one, but I think that just the delivery was so perfect. It was when Doug does decide to go in and see the therapist, and he opens the scene by saying, "My wife won't let me touch her." And then just immediately, with the glasses dangling, "Does she usually?" I found that to be so hilarious. It still cracks me up every time. The delivery on that is flawless. "Does she usually?"
Yes. Yeah.
So it's such a simple little line, but man, just so well executed, and just the timing of it was great. That genuinely cracks me up every time I rewatch the episode.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great, man. Dusty, what about you, bud?
I think the part where Arthur's laying down on the couch and he's talking about how he was afraid of not being able to talk, and then asking the therapist if that meant that he was gay.
Oh yeah, that was good, man. That was real good.
But all the other parts were mentioned. But I mean, there was a lot of quotes in this show.
Oh, there's so many.
And
in this
every
episode.
quote that I mean, it was hilarious throughout. Every quote was hilarious.
This is a great episode. All right, I'm going to go on to ratings and review here. IMDb had 416 user ratings, which is pretty high for IMDb. And they rated it a 8.4 out of 10 stars. The ratings from our Facebook poll, we had 51 ratings, which is, like Dusty said earlier, is an all-time high for us, right, Dusty?
Yep,
51
sure
ratings.
Yeah,
that averaged out to be a
50.
That averaged out to be a 4.2 out of 5, which equates to an 8.4. So the exact same rating as IMDb. Just to bring it down a little bit, I always say, like, we always ask for people to comment about this, when they leave ratings. Someone, there was a couple of 2s and a couple of 3 stars. Someone said it was their least favorite episode and usually skips past it. Now, I don't know, I don't know why. I asked that person, I said, listen, and I'm not mentioning the person's name, but I asked the person, I said, if you want to, kind of expand on that, let me know why, because the person said, I really don't know why, but I just don't like the episode. Wow. Again, that's your opinion. Yep. But Erin Meager, she's popping up all over this episode. She says this is one of my all-time favorite episodes. It makes my top 10. It prominently features Arthur, throw in William Hurt, Ben Stiller, and throw in Tyler as young Dougie. This is a winner. The montage showing everything that Doug and Carrie had to give Arthur to continue to validate him is hilarious. So Erin Meager definitely loves this episode. All right, that brings us to our ratings. We always start with our guest, Tyler. Out of 10 broken chairs, how many broken chairs would you give it?
Well, I'll make sure it's a broken chair, so I won't give a whole number. We'll break it up.
There you go.
A little more professional with the rating. Obviously, there's going to be some bias here, so I don't want to hear anyone saying that I overrated it because I'm on the episode. So you got to give me the leeway,
Just to let me cut you off real quick. Mm-hmm. Alex Scooby gave his episode that he was in a 10.5 out of 10. So you can't get more biased than that. Yeah.
Total disrespect of the scale.
So you could do whatever you want, bud.
Right. Okay. I'm in the 9s. I'm for sure in the 9s because I'm telling you, this was one of my all-time favorite episodes, not just to be on, but to rewatch. I would say I'm going to go 9.6. I know that's a big number.
That is a big number.
I don't know what else I would really change. You got star power. You've got guests. You've got you don't have a lot of the other characters. It's very focused on the core family, which maybe people don't like because you don't have Spence, you don't have Deacon. You don't really expand. But I like that it was a tight sort of story and a single focus. And I think you got some real life interaction between family members, spouses, as well as in-laws. That's a real thing for people that families deal with. And then I also think sort of childhood experience / trauma. I think you kind of touch on that a little bit in a joking way, but I hope people kind of reflected on what type of person am I? How have I been impacted by my childhood? So I think there's a lot of layers to it. And it could have been a play. It was really only shot in 2 locations. It was shot at the house and at the therapist's office, and then obviously in the flashbacks. But, it was I thought it was a really well-constructed episode, and there's a reason that it was a season finale, I
was going to bring that up. It was a season finale for season 4.
So they don't put stinkers as the season finale. Respect to the person who skips it and doesn't like it. You're totally fair to have your opinion. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong. It's right for you, but, tends to be the good episodes are the season finales. So
sure,
for what that's worth, I feel good about my 9.6.
Oh, absolutely. That 9.6, And then I don't even usually I ask what people lose on the points, but you explained it perfectly. Dusty, let's go, bud.
Oh, I got to go after that. I mean, God.
I know. It's a tough act to follow. That's why I always put myself. I put myself last. I don't like going first. Dang. I'll just go last. That was probably the best overall review we've had, man. And I'm not just saying that.
Yeah, that was a great explanation.
Very well,
yes.
well constructed.
I take ratings very seriously. I'm a big ratings guy, so if
absolutely.
You're gonna have a reasoning, really stick to it, defend yourself.
That's right.
Perfect.
Like this is one of my favorite episodes. It's not my top 5, but it is in my top 10. Just because, of course, Jerry Stiller's in it. And then you also have his son, Ben Stiller. I love Ben Stiller. I've watched everything that Ben Stiller's ever been in. He's like one of my favorite actors. I think he's hilarious. But the whole episode was hilarious. I mean, there was never a dull moment. Where it loses, I haven't given my score yet, but where it loses points at is probably because there was nobody else in the episode, which I understand why they were doing the episode. They were just concentrating on the family, but I do love the other characters in the episodes. So I'm going to give this a 9.5.
Wow. I thought you were going to go lower than that, the way you were talking about the...
No.
So this is okay, so this is in your
episode.
top 5. This is in your top 5.
No, top 10.
Or top 10. I'm sorry. You said it's not in your top 5.
Yep,
okay.
top 10. Yep.
Wow.
It's got to be right there at number 6. I mean, this is a hilarious episode. And I bet you I know why some people gave it 2 or 3s, because maybe they think that they're making fun of therapy, and which I don't see them doing that, but I mean, it is a comedy, so I mean, you got to poke fun at some things in a comedy. Right. But I guarantee that's probably why some people gave it a 2 or 3, because maybe it had something to do with the therapy part of the show. All right.
That's very respectable.
Maybe.
As well.
I don't know. I mean, because we didn't get an explanation.
I know.
For why there was a 2s and 3s.
And that's okay.
Right, because if we're in agreement, if we're in agreement that it's mid-9s, I mean, we have to guess as to what it might be. But that is a sensitive issue, so I can understand how people have different perspectives on that. Right. But I think they did a good job of being funny, but then also still, to a certain extent, taking it seriously. So, because there were some heavy moments that they really, not heavy, but at the end of the scene with Carrie and young Carrie, where he's like, am I a bad person? Like, am I only happy when other people are miserable? And he's like, I'm afraid we're out of time. It's just, you have to, sometimes you have to sit with those things and really do some self-reflection. But anyway, sorry, I stepped on the end of that.
No, that's perfect, man.
No, that was,
all right.
That was perfect, man.
That brings me to my rating, and I'm just gonna say this is in my top 5. It's not because Tyler's on the episode, but I did this with Scooby too, but he busted my chops for it. I'm giving this a 9.7. All right,
wow,
9.7.
Nice.
It really doesn't lose much points because Spence and Danny and Deacon aren't in it for me, because everything else lifts that up that high, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The whole therapy thing, a lot of people can relate to it, but what was funny / you got to give William Hurt's character a lot of credit for not just prescribing the drugs like Carrie and really wanted to do. Basically, the whole reason, if you think about it, we didn't bring this up. The whole reason they took Arthur to the therapist was to get him drugged up, and he would just kind of calm. They thought he would just calm down, but instead, you get this classic, these classic scenes going back in time, and the interaction between the current characters and the past characters is just something that is in my opinion, not just for a comedy but for anything, for any type of show or movie is borderline genius, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? It's such a cool concept. Right. Yeah, it's such a cool concept.
Get deep,
it really is.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
I'm telling you, man. I watched it and I was like, holy crap, this is so cool. I didn't, watching it again, it just really, really brought out a lot I'm doing 9.7.
I don't think it aged poorly at all. I think because I think certainly the conversation with therapy and mental health and all of that has evolved quite a bit in the last even in the last 2 years, but the last 20 years. I mean, to have it kind of hold up, there's a lot of shows that have episodes that might touch on some of the subject matter where you are kind of, cringy, but I think picked their spots pretty well. And I think it showed kind of all sides of it, where people think that therapy is only about, just getting medicated and, and that's all that their job is to give people pills or something to try to fix it. Or they think it's the trope of like, where Arthur kind of makes a joke about, I want to kill my father and make love to my mother. It's like, damn, you're good. But I think there is some real character development, and they all learn something kind of about themselves and what makes them tick and what makes them happy or not. And selfishly, I was very excited after this episode, because when they said Doug was going to therapy once a week, I was like, are we getting therapy flashbacks all the time? Because I can clear my schedule if you want to do that and make that part of the show. It did not end up that way. It did not end up that way.
Imagine that, universe,
though. In an alternate universe where you have, once or twice a season, something in therapy comes up. It's a flashback. It's fine. Yeah. I was optimistic. I was overly optimistic.
You as teenage Doug, man, that would have been great.
Could have been fun. Could have been fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
In another life, I guess.
In another time. All right. Well, obviously, we all thought this episode was great. A couple people out there didn't, but that's okay. That's fine. They have their own things, which is listen, that's fine. We say that all the time. Yeah. Even about our own podcast, when we ask people to rate it, we're not asking for a 5-star review. We're just asking for anything. Yeah. We just like to know how we're doing and stuff like that. And again, the show has obviously been off the air for a long time, but I think it's fun to talk about that kind of stuff. So
yeah, we're not going to dog anybody about a bad review or a bad rating. I mean, like you said, it's fun to talk about things like that. Discuss if someone has something poor to say about the episode or about our podcast. I think it's great to have like that kind of discussion.
Well, absolutely. And it's funny because the whole episode is about you can't keep 3 people happy at the same time. So
yeah,
that's the whole thing is like somebody has to make a compromise, or you have to figure out. So some people are going to say, "Hey, this is my favorite. It's in my top 10." Other people are going to say, "I skip it." And then another episode, those roles are going to reverse. So
absolutely. All right, man. Well, we're pretty much coming to an end here. We took up a lot of your time, but we appreciate it. Is there anything you want to plug, with the news outlet, the sports coverage or anything else?
No, I mean, my friends have been kind of making fun of me, telling me I should start a Cameo, but I don't. I haven't done that, and I don't have that to plug, but they're telling me like, oh, you should do it. Why not? And I'm like,
you should, man.
If you did it and you let us know, we would promote it, man. I'm telling you, you'd probably get people on there.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I was like so overwhelmed with the response on Facebook, so I was like, I couldn't have expected people to love the show this much after all these years. But I guess you never know. So I don't know. So that's in thought, maybe. I don't know. But no, we'll see. But no, it's great. I love the job that I have that I started right before the pandemic. It's just I love like local sports, and I care about my community, so being able to do stuff and kind of give back is really fun for me. I've done a couple other like interesting things. I wrote a book a couple years ago with one of my friends about my high school, so that was a fun project to do. And then
what's the name of the book?
It's called Scholars and Champions: the History of Long Beach Poly. So it's the high school that I went to is the same high school that Cameron Diaz went to, who we interviewed for the book. Snoop Dogg also went there, as a bunch of athletes too, like Juju Smith-Schuster went there, Willie McGinnis. It's a Tony Gwynn, Billie Jean King. Billie Jean King wrote the foreword for the book, which was such an honor.
Wow!
Talk about an icon. But she's an alum as well, and so we were super honored to have her write the foreword for that book. So. That was a fun thing in my life that I did, and we also during quarantine started a Long Beach like clothing brand. So that's
really
not that anyone's from Long Beach or would care, but there is Long Beach, New York, so you never know. But it's
there you
Long
go.
Beach Limited, longbeach.ltd is the clothing brand that I started with a couple of my friends, and it was a sort of a hobby for for the for the pandemic, being stuck inside. But we were able to raise some money. We did donations to nonprofits and schools in Long Beach. So we were able to make a little money, donate a little money, and have a side project. So those are some of the recent awesome. Endeavors that I've taken on. So yeah.
That's awesome. Something to be very proud of, man. That's great.
Hell yeah, man.
And you guys too. You should be proud of the work that you're putting in on this podcast. Because it brings a lot of joy to people's lives. And you guys are putting in the time. You always think like, oh, wouldn't it be great if someone did this? And you're the guys that are actually doing it. So credit to you guys for it was a professional process, and I really appreciate you guys having me on and bringing people together for something positive. It's easy to have a lot of negativity on the internet, but people can rally around liking a show, no matter where they are in the country, the world, what their religious, political beliefs, whatever it is, they laugh at eat a pellet, make a pellet, right? So,
that's a great way to end it, man.
I'm laughing, man.
That's a great way to end it, man. That's awesome. Man.
Yes.
Oh, well, thanks so much, man. We appreciate those kind words. We really do. It means a lot.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, with that, thank you very much, Tyler. Check out the clothing brand. Check out the book. I'm interested, and we're gonna see you guys next time. Hit us up on Facebook, email us, and look at us on Instagram. All right, guys. Yep. Have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.